Good morning, Namibia and the world, and welcome to the Government Information Center. My name is Desire Kahiha, and I am your host for this morning. Today, we are looking at the celebration of two very important days in the world, and that is the World Wetlands Day as well as the World Water Day. And nobody can deny it. We cannot do anything without water. Water is growth, prosperity, and everything that spells out life. And in the studio this morning, I have two very important guests, and that is Ms. Maria Amakali. She is the Acting Deputy Director at the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Land Reform. Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for being here. We also have Mr. Kenneth Heinrich Wiesep. He is the Deputy Director in the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism under the Directorate of Wildlife Monitoring and Research. Good morning. Thank you very much, sir, for being here with us.
Good morning. Thank you.
I think I will kick off this beautiful conversation. I say beautiful because it speaks to something that gives life. As I said it earlier on, we can't do anything without water. So we treasure it, we respect it, like Vinny would say. And to you this morning, I think I speak of that importance to both people and the environment in general. What is the role of waterlands?
Thank you. Wetlands are very important, but also very unique ecosystems. They are very unique because of their nature, because of the type of biodiversity that they support. Wetlands support biodiversity that is specially adapted to living in those wetland conditions. Wetlands are important because they are a source of water, it's a source of food, and it's also an important economic activity. So wetlands are very important because they provide us with food, they provide us with livelihoods, and they also contribute to the economic activity of the communities or localities where those wetlands are located.
Wetlands, the key element here being water. And now I bring this to, I move over to Ms. Amakali. Most parts of Namibia received relatively good rains in this rainfall season. What does this mean for dams and water supply in the country?
Yes, we are very blessed that we receive very good rainfall for the rest of the country. And this is just allowing us to replenish the resources which we already have. We have to remember that our climate is very variable. We don't always get this good rainfall. And when we have it, it fills our dams, it replenishes our aquifers, and we need to plan for it. While we have the rainfall, we should not think that we're going to have rainfall throughout. We need to make sure that we are also saving and conserving the resources that we have. And this management of the resources is done at all levels, at household level, at municipal level as well. So as individuals, we need to preserve our water. We need to fix our leaks. For example, if it's at household level, we need to, in some cases, people say we must share the showers, but that is an extreme. But however, what is really important is to make sure that we shouldn't feel complacent just because we have good rainfall. We should protect it, conserve it, and plan for it, especially as a ministry responsible for water resources. We need to make sure that whatever resources we have, we actually plan for it so that it can be used in the next rainy season, for example. And I can give an example, like for us who live in a central area, in Windhoek, for example, we depend on the 3-dam system, the Omatako Dam, the Swakoport, and the Vonbach. These are the dams that supply water to Windhoek. And while we have it, we must use it, because in most cases we still have groundwater. Groundwater is what we call our reserve for in case of the drought. We don't see it, but it gets replenished and then it gets saved. So with high evaporation, our policy is always to say, use the surface water and then conserve the groundwater for later. But we have to also invest in water projects. Water development is a very expensive. Imagine putting up pipelines, drilling boreholes. You need a lot of investment. So we are just happy that we have good rainfall, but in the long run, we should also conserve their resources. That's why we, on every year that we have this awareness to everybody, and especially at individual and household level.
Yeah, you spoke of protection, saving, all these very important keywords. And I think with that in mind, I come to you, Mr. Isab, and I want to find out, how can we protect wetlands?
I think, thank you. I want to actually turn the question around and ask, why should we protect our wetlands? I think wetlands, as I said before, is very critical. They are unique, but they are also very sensitive and very vulnerable. So if we don't look after our wetlands, if we pollute our wetlands, then all the ecosystem services or benefits that we get from the wetlands will disappear, and local communities that depend on these wetlands and associated resources will have nothing else to rely on, or as Ms. Amakali mentioned, government has to invest in expensive water projects to bring potable water to these communities. So it's very important to understand why we need to look after wetlands. So wetlands are important. We can look after wetlands or protect wetlands at various levels. From the government level, we come up with policies and regulations and laws. But then these laws are implemented on the ground level. It's implemented by private individuals, by stakeholders, by other government institutions. So we have to work together as a community to look after these wetlands and water resources. So individual households, as it was indicated here, communities at the community level, traditional authorities, the custodians of the land, where you have communal area conservancies, although they are set up for wildlife, natural resource management, water resource management also, and wetland resource management also becomes important. The Minister of Agriculture is running programs that are linked to river basin management committees. Those are different stakeholders that can participate in protecting of these wetlands and water resources. It comes down to individual decision-making, community action, and government policy and legislative framework that enables protection of these wetlands. Yeah.
And I think just to piggyback on that response of yours, I think we're working backwards now. But I don't like to miss an opportunity to learn, not just for myself, but also for others. Yeah. We're speaking of wetlands, and in your response now, you even spoke about river-based basins.
Basin, yeah.
Yes. I think for just clarification for anybody who needs it, can you help us understand what are wetlands?
Okay, yeah. Wetlands are any areas that is inundated with water. So it can be a temporary wetland, it can be a long-term or permanent wetland. And it also includes man-made, that is artificial wetlands like salt ponds or sewage works, if we are referring audience in Windhoek, like the Korean sewage works. Those are artificial, those are man-made, but they are also important wetlands. So you find natural wetlands and you find man-made wetlands. So in the case of Namibia, most of our wetlands are of short-term nature. They get flooded when we get enough or good rain. And then sometimes they last, like our Osanas or Isanas, they last us for like for 5-6 months, and then they dry up. And then when we get a good rainy season, they get filled up again. So those are now good examples of what a wetland is. Like the word says, it's an area that is wet. It can be on a permanent basis or on a short-term basis. So that's in a short for what a wetland is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we just needed to get that clear so that people understand that it's not, for example, just your Kavango Delta, for example, that's a wetland, or your Wanop Dam, that's a wetland. But there are various spheres of it, and we play a role in trying to ensure that we sustain those waterbeds for just food sustainability, life sustainability in any area that we find them. Now, coming back to Ms. Amakali, statistics, global statistics give us an idea of about 2.2 billion people around the world are struggling and are without access to safe water. We have days like your World Water Day, your Wetlands Day, and this is not just to celebrate these resources that have such significance in life for any living thing, but also to raise awareness of the various crises that we are facing globally when it comes to these resources. Now, as a country, Ms. Amakali, do we have anything or any measures in place to try and improve the access to clean drinking water for Namibians?
Yes. I must admit, if we look at the statistics, Namibia is included in those 2.2 billion of people without access to safe drinking water. If I refer to the just recent census of 2023, it still shows that only at the average, the whole country, about 91% of households have access to safe drinking water.
Wow.
And then out of that 91, 98 is in the urban area, and around 84% is in the rural communities. So we are still lagging behind when it comes to access to safe cleaning water. And then this we want by 2030, for example, is in our vision 2030, is in our sustainable development goals. We must have, everybody should have access to water by 2030. Now you ask yourself, what are we doing in that regard? The government really, and these are the statistics, if you even go back before independence, these statistics were very high. So the government has done a lot, is taking a comprehensive approach just to improve access to water. We have strong policies. We have, like as I mentioned, the Vision 2030, the NDPs, even the current NDP 6 is really striving towards improving the volume of water which is available. And the idea is just to make sure that everybody should have access to water. We are building infrastructures. We have constructed dams. We have constructed pipelines just to make sure that people do get access, or you move the people to where you move the water to where the people are. In a rural area, we are building, we are constructing or drilling boreholes. You know, Namibia is a very big country. We still have a high volume of, or high population still in a rural area. And those rural areas still depends on groundwater. Knowing that our perennial rivers are only at the borders. So we are always moving water from one area to the other. So boreholes are part of it, where communities are able to walk a certain distance. We are aiming at least at 1.5 kilometers, or not more than an hour for you to walk and collect water. And that's what is speaking to our statistics. At the government level also, remember we had a drought around 2013, 2014, to a time where the late King Gob, may he rest in peace, declared a drought in 2016. He then also established what we call a cabinet committee on water supply security, just to make sure that the whole water security of the country is actually taken care of from the cabinet level. And together with their experts, we call them technical committee of experts, they were able to look at what is the situation in a country look like. Where do we need more water? What investment do we need? So we were able to get some loans from the African Development Bank just to build one of those big infrastructure, both for rural and for urban. Also from the, I think, KFW, just to make sure that we are able to supply water to everybody. And we are, that's the aim is to get to at least 100% by 2030, or at least 98% for the whole country, not just for the urban. Maybe I should add also, while we look at water, access to water, we also have the sanitation issue, which in most cases is we are lagging behind. Urban area is a little bit better, but rural communities still either have to do what we call open defecation, or they still have to use pit latrine. And currently the statistics of people who don't have access to sanitation facility is, we're talking about only 40% in rural area has access to improved sanitation facilities. So if you link this to the housing, you would think that every time you put up a house, you should make sure that there are also sanitation facilities. But the government is doing really what it can do to make sure that we do meet our targets.
I've now been triggered by the information that I'm getting from you. And my thoughts go to what we spoke about earlier. Wetlands can be areas that are man-made. We've got underground water, which we refer to as aquifers, that we tap into when surface water is running low. My question then comes in, as part of our plans to prolong the access to this rainwater, for example, are there ways in which we are using man-made structures to replenish aquifers? Or do we solemnly just depend on the natural way of things?
I think Meme Maria is more conversant with that question, because she runs the section that's responsible for water supply, water provision. But then if I can just add on that, Maria will elaborate. The rainwater, when it rains in those river basins, the water is captured in dams. In this conversation, we just mentioned 3 dams that supply water to the central area, and that's now Windhoek, Okahanja, even Windhoek, Hosea Kutako Airport is also included in that central area. So these 3 dams, water is captured from the rivers whenever it rains, when there are river flows, those waters are captured, and some are then sent up to the central region. I think there is in the Namib Desert, in the Omaruru, there is this what is called the Omdel, Omaruru Delta Aquifer. There is an artificial refilling system there where water is captured and physically pumped underground. I think City of Windhoek, with the Minister of Agriculture, also had similar projects where they would actively pump water, capture water and pump into the underground sources to store water there because of the evaporation, high evaporation rates that we have that was mentioned here. So those are sort of the technological advances that are applied to capture the rainwater. I think in the northern parts of Namibia, there were several projects from the ministry, our ministry also, to help create what we call these F dams, expand them, clean them up so that during rainy season enough water can be captured that can last longer. So when there is that enough water, it allows people to do all kinds of things. They can keep livestock, they can do household crop production, there's food security at home, there can be rain-fed agriculture. Of course, that does not rely so much on the standing water. Yeah.
No, thank you. Mr. Makali, would you like to add on
Yeah,
that?
just to add or strengthen what he just mentioned, the evaporation in Namibia is very high. In most people living in the north, you would see that it has rained, your earth dams are full, your oceans are full. Then you go back in September, October, those are empty again. So as much as we capture the water then, we also try to do it with earth dams. I think it was mentioned. It's also not always conducive to keep the water in the pans. But it is something that can augment your groundwater and your surface water. You can use it when it's there. And of course, the new technologies, as you said, artificial recharge, it doesn't only have to work in Windhoek or in the Omdel, it can also work in any other aquifer that we can think of. Even from, for example, the Kavango West area, just when you're driving, there's some good aquifers there that can be recharged. So while we want to construct dams all throughout the country, there are some areas where it's just not possible because of the flat area, because you do need at least something to hold your water in so that it doesn't evaporate as quickly as it gets there.
So I'm happy. Look, yes, more can be done. As human beings, you know, we should never close our headroom from doing more to get better results or to accelerate achieving our goals. But as a country, I believe for as small as a country as we are, 36 years that we're turning, we've done a lot. So one can actually applaud the efforts of your officers along with your stakeholders for your efforts. Coming back to the celebration of these days, World Wetlands Day, World Water Day. Mr. Uysep, I would like to then find out from you, why and when do we actually celebrate World Wetlands Day?
Thank you. World Wetlands Day is celebrated on the 2nd of February every year. 2nd of February is the day on which the convention was adopted. It was initially called the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands of International Importance, Ramsar being the city in Iran at which in 1971 the convention was adopted. So since I think around 1996, a decision was taken then to celebrate and raise profiles of wetlands using the day on which it was adopted as a commemoration. So basically highlight the threats that the wetlands are facing. I think wetlands are one of the ecosystems that are really affected globally. They are the systems that get easily degraded. So the idea with the celebration is to highlight the important role wetlands play for people, for biodiversity, and for economic activities. And then also to just pause during our busy activities to just stand and reflect on what needs to be done to protect these wetlands. Because when we protect wetlands, then we protect the wetlands for the current users and then also for the future users that will come after us. So the day celebrates that global coordination, that global cooperation, collaboration that is required to look after our wetlands, while it's celebrated at national level to also then highlight the importance of wetlands at the national and local level.
Okay. Preservation, celebration, awareness, these are all part of the reasons why we celebrate these days. But now we look at what Mr. Bishop earlier said with regards to wetlands playing a key role in the sustenance of communities, especially those that are positioned around these wetlands. From you, Mr. Makale, I would like to find out, is traditional knowledge incorporated in the wetlands and water resource management of Namibia? If yes, how is this done?
Yes, I would say yes. Traditional knowledge definitely does play a role in water and wetlands management in Namibia. If you remember, see, we have now the young generation, but before that, communities relied heavily on indigenous practices on how to manage their water resources. They would know where to get it, they would know how to manage it, and this, it's kind of lacking now. As I said, I'm working in the department. In most cases, people want government to say, come and help me drill a borehole. But usually they will be able to say, come and help me drill a borehole, go to that point. I used to have a hand dug well there, you can do it. We also have, for example, they are called diviners, where they use some sort of sticks to go and look for water. Those are the knowledge that we need to enhance, we need to embrace, and join together, combine the current works, knowledge, like now we are talking about, in fact, artificial intelligence, and then we're trying to forget about the indigenous knowledge, but we will always need that. Let me say, for example, at water governance in Namibia, we are also making some strides to make sure that there is participatory management with the traditional authorities. Our Water Act, for example, kind of specify that we need to have a participatory approach. In fact, it's part of what we call integrated water resources management, where one of the principles is like management should be done at lowest possible level. And then, of course, there are also women also involved in that lowest possible level. So we are establishing what we call basin management committees who are supposed to do management of the water resources, advise the minister on how to manage the water resources. At the same time, when it comes to the supply, we have community-based management, where water points are managed by communities. And within that whole window is that make sure that women are also part of it, make sure that indigenous practices are also included, and especially in an arid environment, we are always talking about not to waste water. So our whole management is always around protecting their resources, and our resources are also in the wetlands. We keep thinking that water and wetlands are different things. They are actually more or less the same. They sit on each other, they depend on each other. We could say without water you cannot talk wetlands. So we shouldn't, that's why we commemorate these things together. We want to raise awareness jointly so that we don't split the two. But we still, I think indigenous knowledge is still used. Like when it rains, the people knows when to go and plow. When to go, because you smell the rain. It's actually true when they say you are smelling the rain. And then take out the hose and get started. I think let me stop here for now.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add on that, Mr. Wisa?
Yes, I think, in fact, this year, the theme for the Wetlands Day celebration was looking at traditions, cultures, and heritage associated with wetlands. And like Meme Amakali indicated, communities evolved with these wetlands. There's a lot of traditional knowledge, there's a lot of indigenous knowledge that's linked to where these wetlands are, whether they are seasonal or permanent. If you look at the history of Namibia and the settlement patterns, it can clearly tell you that people settled where there was water, or migratory routes for those communities that were migratory with their livestock or following wildlife or hunting, gathering purposes. It was all driven by where they would find water. So a lot of knowledge being generated and passed on over time to the next generation. So the idea is to highlight the important role of traditional indigenous knowledge and wetlands as our heritage resources, so that that knowledge does not disappear as older generations are slowly but surely moving on to become ancestors. So we want to highlight that that knowledge is important. It needs to be integrated into the management of wetlands and water resources. Namibia, as it was indicated here, is very progressive when it comes to engaging local stakeholders in natural resources management. So our policies, our frameworks give voice to local communities, and that offers them, the local communities, the important opportunity to influence policy making, decision making, and then using traditional knowledge, and with traditional knowledge also passing it on to the younger generation. So when we celebrate this World Wetlands Day, World Water Day, we primarily focus and target the school-going children, the younger generation, with the hope that they will learn one or two things about water, about wetlands, and why it is important for them to know at that young age. Because at home, when they go home, they can influence their parents, they can inform them to close the tap when you brush your mouth, or to close the tap after when you're showering, maybe spending less time in the shower than to spend 15-20 minutes in the shower, those kind of things. So they become very good ambassadors and advocates for sustainable resource management.
Very good. I'm thinking back now on what Ms. Amakali said earlier on. This new generation, I doubt anybody will know what a diviner is. They'll probably be thinking, what witchcraft is? What witchcraft is my grandfather busy with? But it taps into what you're saying. Once there is an understanding, I mean, these things worked. They did work.
They worked.
So there's relevance to them, and there's relevance to us, transferring this knowledge to the younger generation. So I'm very happy, like you stated, the theme for the World Wetlands Day, it's wetlands and traditional knowledge, celebrating cultural heritage. Now, having tapped into that, I would then like to focus on the World Water Day theme. Ms. Amakali, maybe you can just give us a bit of, or share a bit of your reflections on that theme, which is water and gender equality.
That's it's a very important theme, I must, if I may put it like that.
Yeah.
And it's close to my heart also. So this theme, really, if you think about it, it highlights the connection between water scarcity, gender equality, or social equity for that matter. Because all along, it was always women and girls who are responsible for household water issues. But when it comes to like decision making, women are always left out. You go and collect the water, you walk long distance to get the water, but nobody come and ask you, where should we put the water point? Because if women were involved in those type of decisions, then they will be able to say, yes, using your
Yes,
traditional knowledge,
yes,
of course, or
yeah.
indigenous knowledge, put it here. And it is also, maybe it's safer for me to walk. You don't put it where I have to go across the bushes, and when I come back at night, there may be naughty people who may want to harm you. But I think, as I said earlier, that we are trying with basin management committees, with water point committees, to make sure that women are already at that level involved. You know, you are giving them opportunity to share their knowledge. So while we are talking about at communal level or at household level, we should also think about at leadership level, at government itself. I was reading somewhere where it says only out of Africa, for example, only 10 or 11 women are head of the ministries or ministers of water. And we are lucky that our minister is also one of them, that he heads the water ministry. I think South Africa minister is also there, that just to get closer to home.
Yeah.
So we need to also have women in those levels. I think I should, I'm saying this, but I'm also in a best position that leading the department of water is also something we are moving there.
Yeah.
I think the good thing is also that if you look at our universities, they are now encouraging, the curriculum is moving towards what we call STEM field. You know, more girls are admitted to the science, technology, and in engineering and mathematics courses. At the end of the day, you will have engineers who are women. You will have mathematicians, technicians, you know, scientists who are actually in the water sector. And they are the one then who, you know, moving from their traditional knowledge all the way to the technology or higher level, making decisions, making policies that moves us to ensure, making sure that we do have water. And I was told once that when women are involved in water management, you have a better chance of having peace, you have a better chance of having water security for everybody. And I like my little button. It's called Women in Water Diplomacy Network.
Oh, wow.
So it's really a network that is also meant to strengthen the young women. In fact, all just the women. Women are very shy in most cases. When you are negotiating, remember our river basin is shared with other countries.
Yeah.
We have to negotiate our equitable share. So in most cases, women are put at the back because it's not because they don't know, it's just because they are a little bit shy. And before, I keep going back before independence. Maybe I should be a historian. You know, we didn't have engineers, were mainly men.
Yeah.
If you go now in your ministry, in our ministry, you only find, like, I don't want to call them born frees, because all of a sudden the field is open for everybody.
Yes.
They are coming up.
Yeah.
And we should just encourage them. And that's why I think we are having this theme, water and gender equality. And gender is not only about women. You know, I shouldn't, it's about, we also have men who are, they always say, let them champion.
Yes.
You know, if you have a young daughter at home, bring them up to say, yes, you can be a scientist, you can be an engineer, you can be a minister of water.
Yeah.
Give them that strength, empower them, and encourage them into that field.
Okay. Okay. As we come to the end of this session for today, it will be amiss of me if I do not extract this information out of our panelists so that we know where we should show up as Namibians. This is in connection with the celebrations of the World Wetlands and World Water Days for the year 2026 in Namibia. Where are we celebrating these? Ms. Amakali?
Yes, as we said earlier, this is going to be a joint commemoration or celebration. We know that World Wetlands Day was already in February 2nd, and then we know World Water Day is going to be on the 22nd of March, but we are planning to celebrate this next week.
Okay.
We have two events planned, starting off with the youth, with the students.
Yeah.
The students, the learners, because we already said that we need to start from the youth. We need to start from the young ones. So on the 10th of March, we are going to have what we call educational excursions.
Yes.
We have students from learners from Windhoek schools. I had a list of the names, but they are mainly the schools around Windhoek and the schools in Karutura, or because that's where the event is going to be. The main event then, which is what we're calling a national commemoration, is going to take place at the UN Plaza, which is in Soweto, Katutura Central Constituency.
Yes.
This is going to be one of those high-level event. We have high-level dignitaries who are going to give key speeches, messages around the theme of the World Water Day and World Wetlands Day. So if you find yourself in that area, please do come along and just listen to the messages which are being given. It's a national event, really. It's a pity that we cannot have it in all the regions. And I am happy to hear that independence is going to be celebrated in all regions. I think this is what we can do this year, but hopefully the schools anyway can also just raise that event during the weeks.
That would be good. I think at the end of the day, we don't need to have huge events to recognize and celebrate certain days. And I think schools do a very good job, actually, when it comes to these type of events. Maybe they just need the assistance with the information and so on. They usually do projects and programs and competitions. So big ups to them. And hopefully through that type of system, we can create that movement through the communities within where these schools are based and so on, to just help bring that awareness and make it stronger. To round off, Mr. Yusuf, do you have any closing words?
Now, I just want to emphasize the point that water and wetland resources are very important. I think for us to sustain peace and maintain peace, we need access to water, we need sustainable management of water resources. And of course, the issue of gender is very critical. Women and children are mainly the users of water, especially in the rural setting. They need to be brought to fore, they need to participate in decision-making concerning these water resources. And I like the fact that was mentioned here that involving women will make sure that there will be peace. There is a prediction that the next wars will be about water. So water is a very critical resource. In Africa, we had incidences already where there were fights over water resources. So access to water, sustainable management, and celebrating what we have and looking after what we have is very important, because if we take those out of the equation, then we don't have a basis for our survivals. Our survival, our livelihoods all depends on that. Otherwise, we are going to rely on expensive technological projects like, for instance, desalinating water at sea and pumping it all the way up to Windhoek. those that study geography will know Windhoek is at the highest point in Namibia. Imagine the cost involved with pumping water up from the coast to Windhoek. So if we don't look after what we have, that's the future we are going to have. And the end users will pay for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very true, very true. Mr. Makali, your closing remarks?
All I can say, no water, no life. And we should take every opportunity to make sure that our water, our wetlands are protected. We shouldn't wait for when is World Water Day. It should become our lively or daily affirmation.
Yeah.
And I encourage all the students or the schools, if you need some information, you can always come to our ministry. We can, and I'm sure MICT will also have some information that we can share on water, on wetlands.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
please, we are a government institution. Our doors is open every time for anyone to come. So feel free to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very open invitation that one should consider to take up when it comes to these government offices that really are doing their best to try and help us sustain a resource that we cannot go without. Thank you for also making sure that you tune in to the Government Information Center for these sessions. You can be an educator to the next person. You can carry this information and let us spread it far and wide. From myself, Desire Kahia, along with my production crew, I would like to say thank you very much to our panelists who made the time to be with us here in studio and impart this knowledge on us. Please do remember to stay tuned to our platforms as we continue to bring you more informative sessions. For now, though, it's bye-bye.